Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Hi there, and welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This season, we're exploring the theme, Don't Let the Start Stop You. It's a powerful reminder that while beginnings can be daunting, they're also the gateway to growth, success, and happiness. Throughout this season, we are discussing how to push through those initial difficulties and take that important first step towards your big goals, even when it feels overwhelming. I'm Gayla Scrivener, joined by my co-host, Fran Attilio. Hey there, Fran.
Hey, Gayla.
We are recording this on a very, very special week. It's our birthday week.
Yes. Our listeners may not know this. We are born a day and a year apart, and we found that out, and we are just soul sisters since we met.
Yes. Well, Fran, let's dive in. What are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're talking about a really important topic that can transform your brand visibility and attract countless opportunities, which is authority content.
I'm kind of surprised. I've had people lately ask me, what do you mean, Gayla, by authority content?
You know, it's so funny because content and marketing are just such big, broad terms that everybody can interpret that so differently. But I also think because they're so broad, and then you put the word authority in there, I think people start to be like, wow, there's a lot of possible definitions. It's so simple. It's just what makes you special and different. And
it's how we communicate outward what makes us special and different. It's really well-researched pieces that provide in-depth knowledge, right, on a specific subject. In your niche, right? Whatever you're doing. And what that does is positions you as a go-to resource in whatever you do. It's a way to show off your expertise. And some folks really kind of shy away. It's like, oh, I don't know about showing off. But it's kind of a scary thing to be publishing an authority content because you're sticking your neck out.
That is very true. And at the same time, that's where having those earlier pieces of understanding your plan and your purpose and your principles and all those goals and things like that, all the things that we talked about in the SPC and what you do in StoryBrand, when you know all that, there's confidence builders in there so that when you go to create your authority piece, you know what you want to say, why you want to say it, how you want to say it, when you want to say it, where you want to deliver it. And authority pieces, like all the pieces in the cornerstones of marketing, should not be something that you flippantly do here and there when you get to. They should be planned out, but you don't have to overcomplicate it. And it should just be, what is it that, like you said, what is that in-depth knowledge that you have, whether it's a product or service, you can bring to your customers, to your clients, whether past, present, or potential, that help connect and resonate and create that engagement and set you apart. And one big piece of advice, and we'll probably get to this later on, but authority pieces should never be negative attacks on someone else. It should only be positive shares of what you know. And that's okay if it's only a little bit compared to someone else. Only focus on what you know and what you do best.
And you're providing a solution for someone's problem. And so you're sharing that. Our marketplace is so noisy. We're all bombarded with everything. But how do we stand out? Well, quite frankly, we stand out because of who we are. And how do we have people understand who we are and establish credibility in this noisy background, right? And that is where authority pieces come in. Now, early on in my business, I started face-to-face networking. I belonged to a networking group that we met every week. We had a script that we went around. We had the 30-second, little commercial, and, it was this referral type of networking. And I belonged to that quite a few years before I changed the way that I network. But I found, and I was encouraging folks, it's like, you come every week, you're talking about what's going on and how you can help and this, that, or the others. Because every meeting there was a business spotlight where they gave members the opportunity to do like a little 10-minute presentation. And how I saw it was you could be doing things to amplify that expertise because you're in this room with 20 people doing this 10-minute presentation, which is great value. It's like, oh, I didn't know or didn't understand that this is a problem. Like, I don't know, a home inspector, they said, oh, you can see this symptom and this is what you can do about it for a problem with your house. It's like I saw that each and every week of like an authority piece that could be shared with more than the 20 people in that room.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And, Gayla, networking groups and being out there in chambers of commerce or any local activity, I work with my local business and community alliance. You can be in a room with people who do what you do. We have to erase the barriers of competition and realize there's space for everyone. And it's developing that confidence. It's confidence, not competition, confidence in what you know and what you bring, and that there's an audience out there that you connect with. I think a lot of people hesitate to join groups like the one you mentioned because like, well, I'll be giving away my secrets, or, oh, you could have 4 different marketing people in the same space. Look at you and I. We do very similar things. We have some things that overlap, but we're different messages. Like we're the same, but different. And then it's who we are and from demographics to geographics, right? That make us different with who we're going to connect with and attract as our audience. And that should be embraced and celebrated, not seen as something to fear.
And having that authority piece, and we'll go in a little bit more detail with examples and such. But the last episode from you and me, you and I were talking about a salon. You gave an example about a salon, and they told you, "Hey, my perfect client is anybody with hair." But we got to talking about that, and it's like not really, because they have a vibe. Their vibe attracts the right folks. I mean, I'm sure they can cut anybody's hair, style anybody's hair, but there is a certain style and an atmosphere that when you go to get your hair done, you might resonate with, and you have that wonderful experience. I know I don't necessarily have this wonderful experience at just any salon. That's what authority pieces do, is it publishes your vibe of who you are, what you know, and how you can help folks. It's no longer like, when you're trying to get a job in old days, it was like, I just give a resume and that was it,
Yep.
This is an ongoing, especially when I work with a lot of consultants and they know a lot. I am super excited. I mean, they know their stuff. How can you attract the right clients when there's so many consultants out there?
Right. Just be yourself. I feel like I just heard a Disney movie in my head. The one with the genie, Aladdin. If you try to be something else, this is such a life lesson I have navigated the last month or last year of my life. When you try to be something else, you will burn out. You will constantly be chasing something that is not there. The whole key to everything is to simply be who you are and be proud of it and own it. I think sometimes we compare, and that's another part of competition. We look at someone else and go, oh, but they know this, they know that. Yeah, but what you know is special and different. And it's okay if it's different. That's the other thing. We have to embrace our differences in authority pieces. I know something. I want to share it. I believe this will help others. If that's the driving force of your authority piece, and like you said, we'll talk about avenues to deliver it, but just live your vibe. Be you. Be true to yourself and be yourself on that screen. For a long time, I hid my tattoos. For a long time, I hid my accent. I mean, I don't fully let it out completely. Just be you. And because you want to work with people who get your vibe, who are, if you try to be something else, you're going to connect with people that you're not vibing with. Be true to your vibe, be authentic, be bold to be you. And you're going to find your people, and it's just going to continue to build and grow from there. And considering the billions of people in this world, there are plenty like you, and there are plenty in your vibe that you will connect with.
I love that you said about connecting with your vibe. When you connect with a similar vibe, or that, that you like to work with that type of person, but it's reciprocal, right? When you're working with someone that you click with and they are working with someone they click with, the experience is so rewarding. And that's really what it's all about, is you're helping people on a broad spectrum, kind of going back to that networking face-to-face type of things. When you have an authority content plan executed and you're systematically in that space, when you meet someone face-to-face, and then maybe they connect with you on LinkedIn, they search your website, and they're seeing these other pieces of content to solidify what they just found out about you. So really, authority pieces establishes that expertise, and it reinforces that expertise. It addresses pain points of what you help with. There are challenges that you help your clients with, and it generates organic traffic. And this is a long-term type of process, which kind of discourages some folks, and we'll get into that. But also, the authority content encourages engagements. When you research something, you have invites for discussion, you can have that core piece of content, or that original piece of content, and you can amplify that and have micro content expanding your reach. Micro content, i.e. social posts. So
Love the benefits that you summarized there, Gayla. And one of the ones that jump out for me is the organic traffic, the generating organic traffic. We both know, like you said, I totally agree. Organic takes a little more time, and it does scare some people. But that's where the true, authentic connection happens. That's where real engagement happens. Those are the people who, this means they resonate with you. This means they see you as an expert. They feel like you have addressed their pain points. They want to engage with you. This is so much more robust and long-term than some of the paid vehicles. While you could do paid vehicles and there's a balance between the two, I really feel authority is where that genuine connection happens. And that's where real long-term effect of authority content is so beneficial, is when someone resonates with you, it wasn't on a gimmick, it's on who you are. And I know I can, as I'm saying this, I can think of the people that I have followed or signed up for emails that years later, I am still allowing their emails in my inbox. I am still following them on social. I am still watching their videos because they got me. They connected with me through true authority content. But then I also think of the Instagram that I've clicked on because it sucked me in, and it was definitely a paid post. And then within 2 emails, I was like, oh my God, this is just overwhelming. No, I don't want this. This isn't for me. So there is this difference in real, true authority content that can be, that while initially it can be a little more painful to wait for the outcome, long term, it's a beautiful experience, and it's so much more beneficial.
Well, I think we could have a whole episode about organic versus paid. And I believe that organic reach aids the paid. I mean, you do your research in there, and it makes your paid advertising that much more effective because you're bringing in the awareness. But we won't get into that because that's like a whole other discussion.
That one for another day.
Yeah. But what do you know? I mean, what have you seen? What stops people from publishing authority content?
A couple of things. One is sometimes they don't know what that means. So they're like, well, what does that mean? What do you mean? And so we get into the sharing your expertise. And they go, well, what do I say? The other one I saw, and I saw this in one of my corporate jobs, they figure it out on what it means, but then all they say is what they want to say. And they're like, well, why isn't this working? Because it almost comes, I don't mean this to sound religious, but it comes across as preaching or telling someone, when the person receiving the information going, yeah, but I don't understand what that means. Maybe it's too technical. In the case of this company, it was way too technical. And they were always bringing forward beautiful and brilliant product solutions, but based on what they thought was brilliant and worthwhile, they weren't looking at what did the customer need. That was a big thing. So they had a little too much to say on the wrong side of things. It has to, going back to your benefits, it has to be about those pain points, but not knowing what it meant. So then not knowing where to start and not knowing what to say, I think for the big three. Have you seen?
Yeah, I know. And I have the pleasure of working with some great consultants, and they know so much and they have all of these ideas.
Right.
And they want to like explain it all at once. And the brilliant thing is that with content, it needs to be parsed out small chunks and solve littler problems. It can be this overreaching. So what stops people from publishing is overwhelm of just the process. I've got some folks like, you know what I really want to do because everybody else is doing it. I really want to do a podcast. And I'm like, okay, that is great because I think that is a wonderful type of avenue to do authority content. That's great. But then they get started and it's like, oh, producing a podcast takes a lot of time. It's not just the end product. There's all these steps before a 30-minute show is not taking 30 minutes to do. So overwhelmed with the process, and you really have to hook onto your why. Why are you doing it? And that's what stops people from publishing. Just that overwhelm, not knowing where to start, what to say. They don't really implement good systems from the get-go. I think that it's overwhelming because we see other people who seemingly are everywhere and doing so many things. But you can start with just one thing, and this authority content layers on it. And it takes years to get yourself as that expert in your niche.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And it's taking that look. I've been in product, and whether it's product or services, recognize that it takes some time to build that knowledge and be ready to share it. You know, one of the things that came to mind as you were talking is some people go, yeah, well, why should I share it? Isn't this something everybody knows? No. And this leads into people,
not with your perspective,
not from, right. So from your perspective, you may know this, but let's take product, for example. If you're a company that makes product, and whether you're B2B or B2C, there's always turnover in your clients, in your prospective clients. There's people graduating college, coming into the industry. And while college is great, they don't teach you everything you need to know. I did not graduate FIT knowing everything I needed to know about home furnishings and home products. I learned in my career. Sharing your expertise can help connect with those people who need that information. A big thing we have to remember is we each know something. We don't know everything, and our brains can only hold so much. So we know what our little world, the world we've grown up in, that's what we know the information from. And there's a lot of people out there who didn't grow up in our worlds and didn't grow up our paths or didn't live our paths. So share that information. Don't be afraid. It's not, I don't know what the right word is. I keep thinking, some people think, oh, it's stupid to share, or somebody already knows that. I don't want to seem like it's obvious. It's not obvious to everybody. Put it out there. Share it. You're going to be amazed at how it resonates with different people.
If you are sharing something that quote unquote everybody already should know, when you share that and someone gets reinforced that it's like, hey, you have a similar belief that I do, I want to connect with you. All this authority piece is another form of developing connections. Whatever type of industry you're in, I believe that getting those connections helps build your business, build a lifestyle, build whatever that is. Let's go in, maybe give some examples, not to overwhelm everybody. There are so many ideas of different types of authority content. And maybe you're wondering, it's like, well, this won't work for me. I work with mainly consultants, and consultants, coaches, speakers, they have that. I mean, it's just so obvious that in my mind that you need to be producing authority pieces, because that philosophy that you're sharing, that's how you attract your clients. You are a thought leader. That's the word I was trying to think of. You are a thought leader in your space. Thought leaders need to have that. But there are other industries. I came from the medical field. And I think that medical offices, medical providers, they have that built-in authority piece. And I had, when I was in my networking groups, I mean, it was just so obvious to me, but I met a lot of massage therapists, for example, and they weren't producing anything. There's a lot of massage therapists in this world. That's a great field. But what differentiates you to bring in that client and repeat clients? Because you want to have this relationship with them that this is the only massage therapist I will go to. Being able to talk about certain ailments where massage can help, educating folks in that niche is super beneficial. And I guarantee you, if you're in the medical field, there's not enough of that particular field that's educating like that.
Every industry can benefit: product, service, trade association, consultants, you name it, because each industry has certain pieces of information that are the basics, the core, the foundation of what you need to know. And there's always an audience that can get a refresher on that or needs to know it. It can also be, if there's something new coming out, a way to help tell that story without it sounding like an ad or a hard sell. Authority content can help explain the real benefits of new technology, new products, new services. It's such a powerful tool. And if you can get past the obstacles we just talked about, really can be such a powerful tool in your toolbox.
We like to talk about blogs, podcasts, and videos. Those are like the three main, but they can be in a lot of different formats.
Yes. Yeah.
Nonprofits or thought leaders that have these big concepts, case studies are excellent. Well, when you think about it, because I'm working with a client right now, there are so many success stories or there's so many case studies that we can do. And so this is the problem of, okay, got to chunk this down because we can't just like say everything all at once, but having a system of sharing case studies. And when it all boils down to it, what is a case study in the digital world? It's going to go in the blog space. For her, I am creating a publication schedule, and we're focused on success stories all year long. And we're chunking it down and we're getting that rolling. And the more that we have those success stories, the more the library fills. And it shows how your solution works in action. Or for nonprofits, sharing these, I don't know, what would you call it, Fran? Success stories or impact stories.
Yeah,
for nonprofits, and show what good is being done with the nonprofits. And you know, that helps all along because it shows the work that's being done, the good that's being done. I work with nonprofit consultants, and so I kind of see a little bit from the distance of those nonprofits that they're working from, that they struggle with the authority piece, but that ties into, they can share these impact stories and publicly have these impact stories out, which helps with their fundraising. Other industries, travel and hospitality, giving out travel tips. If you're a travel agency, you get a connection with this authority piece, and you like the personality, you like that vibe.
In the world where there's so much information coming at you and at us each day, authority pieces are how you find those you really truly want to connect with. You just touched on some great industries. Think about food and restaurants, from grocery to restaurants, how you can set yourself apart. If you forget about the authority piece, those that are doing the authority piece will step ahead of you. Even if you think, yeah, but I'm just a grocery store. No, there is something that sets you apart. There's a reason that people shop at Whole Foods. There's a reason people shop at Wegmans. There's a reason people shop at Kroger or ShopRite or whoever it may be. Authority is that difference maker in staying engaged as well as attracting new audiences. It's a difference maker.
We've talked about a lot of things and it can be very overwhelming, but it's meant to spark some ideas. And you shouldn't feel pressured to do everything that we mentioned or do everything that someone else that you follow does. Everyone has a little bit different approach and have pieces of authority that can be strategically published. How you get started is you review where you're at right now. I think that's something that someone had told you in a different context. Just
Start where you are.
Start where you are and pick a form of content that fits you, and recognize that to produce and publish content is going to be hard at first because it's a new skill that needs to be refined. Actually, no matter how long you do it, you're going to be adding to or shifting what things are, but your content library just keeps building and building and building, and your authority and your journey shifts, right? Just recognize that. And I encourage folks to really look at a publishing schedule. That is where you may say, oh, well, I want to produce a podcast. What would the publishing, do you want to do a once a month, once a week, every other week? What is that publishing schedule? And then you need to chunk down the process of what would it involve. Putting dates puts a little bit of, being consistent is a way to build trust because people can depend on, okay, that's when you're going to be there and things like that. Chunking down the process to getting it done and just really evaluating. Okay, there's the writing, the design, the, editing, maybe publishing, just depends on what it is, but it pretty much has those components of planning, writing, design, editing, and then actually publishing. What things would make it easier is to consider templates so that when you do sit down to record, you have the pieces that you want to fill. You can do all the steps. You can do everything yourself. You need to really, truly evaluate if that's feasible for you with the time and effort involved that you can devote to that piece of authority. That authority piece needs to have a piece of you.
Oh, I love that.
But you don't have to do all the pieces. And you may want to delegate some. And when you figure out what piece of the authority piece you want to do, put it on your calendar and have some accountability to keep it going.
I love that outline of a process, and it's so encouraging and simple to get started. It really gives people to do exactly what we touched on, start where you're at. I think I'd only add one other thing to this. What makes it complicated is when you start to worry or get anxious about things. Just focus on what you know. Just be yourself. I think I've said this in past podcasts. My favorite professor once said, the best marketing is true. Don't try to be someone else. Don't share information that's not yours. I don't mean plagiarize, but I mean something that you've heard and you kind of know. Focus on the stuff that you know down to your core. That's what you share because you feel it, you hear it. So you marry that with all the beautiful steps you just outlined, and it suddenly gets a lot easier.
It does. And you don't have to do all the things. You can build on that. You can experiment. And I think that actually publishing and having a cadence to publishing also is a form of self-discovery. You're able to help others even better because you're discovering things and you're sharing what you discover and attracting the folks that want to learn from you, may have a similar type of thought process, and is a delight to be friends with. Authority pieces are helping you make more connection and more friends.
I agree 100%. So if you've been on the fence about creating that authority piece, this is your nudge to get started. Don't let this start stop you. Ask yourself, what do I wish my audience knew more about? That could be your very next article. It's as simple as that.
Right? It is. Well, I hope you now see how authority content isn't just helpful for your audience, it's a great tool for you to attract the opportunities you deserve. Have that self-discovery. Your live full, work fun journey is just that much better. Well, thanks for listening today. We hope that you're inspired by today's episode to take action. Any final words, Fran?
Just that thought that just popped up at the end of this. Start where you are. You're wherever you are you're right where you're supposed to be, and just don't let that start stop you. Keep going.
Remember, every successful journey begins with that first step. Don't let the start stop you from pursuing your dreams and creating the business and life you desire. Until next time, live full, work fun.